Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It's Brianna Ray from BriIY here to bring you another fun granny square project. This is part one of probably three where I have ordered a ton of beautiful pre-made granny squares off of Etsy from a variety of small businesses, and we are going to use some of the simplest patterns that I found for crocheting to do something with them to create, these granny square look is like so popular right now. I see lots of different trends with it. And there's a lot of different things that we can make with just squares. So even if you're like a beginning crocheter and you don't necessarily, or a knitter or anything, even Tunisian crochet, if you can't really, make anything super crazy, then these like square patterns are super, super great. So, I Tunisian crochet more than I regular crochet. I can make granny squares. I talked about that in my last video. They just take me a lot of time and energy and motivation that honestly I don't really have with a lot of, my side jobs and things like that. So being able to buy these ahead of time has allowed me to kind of get that look, still do a little bit of DIY myself to kind of fill in the blank and use them for patterns that I'm interested in. So there's a lot of real great benefits I see to this. So I've got these beautiful rose patterned ones. The last time I did this like blue background with these white daisies in them, and they were beautiful, and I made a bag out of it. This time around we're gonna do something fuller. I think I said cardigan in the last one. I actually mean a crop top. We're gonna be making a crop top with this, just because of the size of these. If these were like double the size, I think these are like 5-inch squares. If these were closer to like, I don't know, probably 7 or 8 inch, I would probably be able to do that. Like this is the size granny square that I was making. So if I had like, the amount of granny squares I have of these, which is 24 in this size, I absolutely would have been able to make a large cardigan, but that just was not in the cards with obviously something that is half the size. I got stuck on which pattern I wanted to use, but I ended up falling in with a square neckline pattern as opposed to like a V neckline pattern. I'm going to kind of show you here. This is kind of the one I was looking at with this kind of layout. Same number of squares, but different kind of layout. And just for context, I am a size medium with a very large bust, so oftentimes leaning towards a size large. So obviously, if you are bigger or smaller than me, you might need more or less granny squares. This is just how I did it. So really what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to line these babies up, and I kind of already did based on those pictures. I'm just kind of going to lay down and drape these across my body so that I can figure out about how long I need to get around my body. And I'm just doing like these rows, right? So I'm going to do that and really just start stitching them together. So in order to get fully around my body, with the amount of stretch that I have here, I can do 7 of these, but since I have 24, I'm gonna do 8 and do a row of 3, and that gets me down to about my waistline from the top of my bust. So I'm gonna go with that pattern, super, super easy. And honestly, videos like these get really, really repetitive. So here I have my separated pieces, and I'm just gonna go off camera really quick, and I'm gonna snap these babies into place into our first row. And here we have them all attached into one big long baby. And not only that, I have also kind of jumped ahead of the gun and started on my straps. Now, I could do obviously these straps in a with more granny squares, but since I'm limited on the amount of granny squares that I had, I decided to just do these simple straps, and I'd really like to add like an extra detail of a bow on top. Now I was gonna like just make these extra long, but I don't know if I have enough material for that because I am using scrap yarn that I have to fill in the like holes here. So I've got this one strap that I did with a Tunisian crochet. I've already started on the other one here. As you can see, nice and long. And I just I have this length that I measured around using like my bra strap about how much length I would need. And I've just been lining it up with my Tunisian crochet and figuring out about how much I need. So I'm almost done with this one as well. But I have this idea in mind, and I can kind of demonstrate it with what I have here right now, that if I can make another one of these, I can flatten it up and then pinch it at the top and kind of make some super cute like bow designs as if they were tied on the top without having to actually tie them in the top and worry about them falling off. I was also able to put this together by draping this whole piece around my body, kind of lining up where I wanted my like front and center to be, which is, you know, over top of these two guys, and just sort of seeing where this sat, which was incidentally right about here. And I'm going to use the fact that these are blocked and squared out so nicely to make sure that they are even on both sides. So what I'm going to do is I am going to add this baby in, and I'm going to stitch up my other rows of 8 towards the bottom, and I'll show you how I'm going to connect all of these together. All right, y'all, we're finally getting somewhere. So we've got kind of my top layer here. I've got a middle layer ready to stitch up, and a bottom layer that I am ready to stitch up. Simply put, I've got white string on a tapestry needle, and I'm just gonna kind of show you what I see when I get up close and personal. You can see in here that when I flip this on the side, we've got all these V's in here of the crocheting. So I'm going to, starting on the back so that I can hide as much as possible. So there is my V, and this is the back of my material. So I'm going to swing through the center of a V, one V on this side, just the back portion that leans towards the top, and find the corresponding V on the other side and go through just that back portion of the V, so that when I tighten it up, it comes together very seamlessly. Now for the edges, what I'm doing is I'm going up through these like corner bits here, kind of following that same pattern, just finding a corresponding corner. Now I'll pull it all the way through, and from here I will tie it into a simple knot. That way we're starting off strong, and I'm just going to continue all the way down through all 8 of my squares on the first row and the second row. All right, we are getting somewhere. Got everything attached, straps included. Now all that's left is to sew up the back, of course, and to add my little decorative bits on top. This is the remainder of my white that I had, so I'm probably actually just gonna stitch up the middle. So that I can turn this into 2. I'll make sure this lays flat on the end as well, like fold it over so it's like hemmed a touch, and stick it on top and wrap it with a little bit of extra fabric to look like a bow. All right, just kind of making my way through, tacking this down as I said I would. So I really just folded it over, and you can see kind of this side is falling a lot flatter. And again, since this thread matches, it's not the end of the world if it's perfectly spaced or anything. Back at the end, for these I kind of like to hold the little end bit and swirl the tapestry needle around into a knot and tighten it a few times before snipping off the excess. The center point of our straps, just kind of like this. Now I'm gonna take some of my extra yarn, not that yarn, need something longer, and we're gonna wrap it around a few times. I'd really like for that to be in the center. Hold on. And that's how we create this little bow tie look using scrap material. And obviously, ideally, I would have just made these straps long enough for me to tie myself, but I was trying to use up the material I have, not to go buy more. So this was maybe not my first choice, but definitely the most sustainable for using up the materials I have. Hot take, but it's my top, so I do what I want. I did fold these ends in and glued them again just to kind of shape them up to be like the perfect tiny little bows that I wanted. So now these are kind of the tops. Here's the bottom. I just need to sew the back up. Okay, she's done, finally. I've spent hours on this. Oh my god. And I hope you guys haven't found so much of this so boring or repetitive, but that's why I tried not to film all of it, just because, I mean, it really is just stitching and recreating the same Tunisian stitch over and over and over again. But as I'm looking at it like this, if I stitched up the bottom, this would also make a pretty cute bag. So maybe one day if this doesn't fit me, then at least I know I have a tote out of it. Maybe I'm wrong. I wanted to test the sizing in case I didn't, in case it didn't fit, right? And it looks fine, it fits, but honestly, I'm kind of thinking I want it shorter. Don't mind my pajamas. I just folded it up and yeah, I think it looks better this way. Would you believe that I filmed this outro entirely? Twice now. This is the third time, because the first time I didn't really have real pants on and I felt uncomfortable, so I went and put jeans on, and then I didn't have my glasses on because I had them on top of my head and my entire frame is out of focus. But yes, you might be noticing I only have 2 rows right now. Third row does still exist. So this is the original pattern as I originally drafted it, but frankly put, I just kind of liked it shorter better. I tried it on for my husband. I went downstairs. We kind of talked about like design wise what we were going for and what he thought looked good. And I take his opinion into great consideration. I consider us both very fashionable people. So this is kind of what we decided on. I also ended up shortening the straps just a little bit so that the bows were a little bit more visible. And also they just stretched so much that it kind of hung a little bit lower than I was super comfy with. So I did stitch those up a touch. I'm taking this bottom row off. I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet. It means I'll have 8 extras, and I'll have these 2 yellow ones that I got as freebies in the pack with these. So I have 10 extra granny squares now. I'm not including the sunflower ones that I have coming for another project. So stick around for part 3, I guess, maybe part 4 if I figure out what to do, or something creative to do really with the other guys. But yeah. I ended up just making a tinier version of that bag pattern I suggested from earlier, and on the inside I'm storing all of my little freebies that I got. I'm not sure what I'll do with these yet. Maybe bracelets for kids, like my nieces or something, but there's that. That's all I had for you today. If you like what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe. I do put out new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern Standard Time, and I would love for you to be here for the next one. Thanks again so much, and I hope to see you then. Bye!